daydreaming about dragons. And the daydreaming has begun because this weekend is going to be a fun, gaming heavy weekend. And I've already started my first game. I'm going to do another dealio where I record my thoughts before the weekend and then come to you again on Sunday night and drop my thoughts on how it all went. The cool thing about all of this is that I'm not GMing any of it. I got to play. I got together with my buddies Jay and Clyde, and we looked at Champions Now, which is the new retro funk take on Champions by Ron Edwards that was kickstarted, and the final text is out. So we sat down with that, and it asks you to write 2 sentences about your superhero setting and what superheroes mean in this comic book, in this game, and it was a lot of fun. We came up with some really good stuff, and it was fun to think about it just as a player, what I want to play. Really, really good. And so tomorrow night, I'm playing Girl Underground with Strash and Lauren. Lauren, one of the game's creators, is GMing that one, and I'm looking forward to that. I'm playing a boar named Thunderbolt, which is fantastic. And of course, we switch who's playing the little girl. So the girl is named Faye. So we go back and forth who plays Faye. And Strash is playing this awesome Peter Pan thief type, who is very flamboyant and amazing, and has been in the other world for a long time. Very, very cool. And then on Sunday, I get a treat. I get to play my medieval fantasy chancellor. His name is Osprey, or Ozzy, if you know him well. And that is in Rebel Crown, which is a cool Forged in the Dark game where you're trying to get your young king onto the throne, right? So Blades in the Dark meets Game of Thrones, I guess, if you had to elevator pitch it. Really cool. It's really good stuff. And I'm really looking forward to it. It's fun to be a player. I think the cool thing about being a player is, from a GM standpoint, is it makes you a better GM. And GMing makes you a better player if you're doing it right. So it's very cool. It's cool to be that guy, and it's cool to not be GMing a bit. And we'll see. The weekend might afford other gaming opportunities. So there might be some face-to-face stuff. We'll see what happens. I'm not holding my breath, but I hope. I have hopes. High hopes. And we'll see how this weekend's gaming goes. I really, really like it. I'm really looking forward to it. All of these games happen to be online games, but I'm hoping to get my face-to-face gaming ramped up just a little bit. So here I am, all hopeful on Friday. Already got the first game under my belt, where we did kind of a session 0. Now I've got to make up a Champions character with the prompts. Really, really cool prompts. Superhero groups are government mandated, an ugly cross between corporate sponsors and Division I sports. And blue-collar Detroit superheroes, powers made through industry and hard work. Hell yeah. Who am I going to make for that? Who would you make? All right. If you have ideas on who you'd make in that comic book universe, let me know. Who's your Detroit super? And if you've got thoughts on what you're playing this weekend, I'd love to hear about it. Or if you have thoughts on how GMing makes you a better player, or how being a player makes you a better GM, I'd love to hear that. Drop me a line. I'll see you on the other side of this weekend. Here we go. And it's Sunday night. And I played on Friday morning and Saturday night and Sunday afternoon. And it was lovely. It was a really fun weekend. I probably haven't gamed that much without GMing outside of a con in a really long time. I game pretty regularly. I tend to be the GM, and to be able to play just as a player in 3 different games was a huge treat, and is really just a sign of how cool streaming is. And I love face-to-face gaming, but this was really, really fun. I really can't say enough good things about it. So that was good. Saturday night, I played Girl Underground with Lauren and Strash. And that's an interesting game. I feel like there's a move in it called merry-go-round. So Strash is playing Bhima, who is a runaway who basically, like, as a kid who ran away to the underground, to a wonderland, to an other world, and stayed there and became this very flamboyant, adventurous thief. But there's like a lonely tinge that Strash brings to it that makes it feel real, and kind of beautiful. And I get to play Thunderbolt, who is a boar, as in a pig with tusks. And it's interesting that the talking animal is kind of the more realistic character, which is really fun. I get to say things about the world, and it's just really cool. So, and I feel like I haven't played the character to the hilt yet. There are a couple things I can do as that character that I haven't done, which was neat to look at and realize, I've got more to go. I've got more to do. So that's a lot of fun. And there's a move in this game called merry-go-round so I play Thunderbolt the boar, Strash plays Bhima the runaway, but then we've got Faye, who's the little girl, and we take turns playing Faye. And I think what's interesting is the move is that skill of going in between characters and deciding who's going to play their kind of fantastic companion, right? Who's going to play their scarecrow, their tin man, their lion, and who is going to play the Dorothy, for lack of a better way to put it, to put it in Wizard of Oz terms. And that's a really neat thing. It's very much like setting the ball in volleyball so that your buddy can spike it. It's a new skill, I feel like, and I think it's really cool. I like playing more. I like the idea of being able to play more than one character at a time. I think that's fun. I've seen it be fun in Apocalypse World. I've seen it be fun in Dungeon Crawl Classics. I know it can be a fun thing, and it's interesting to see it between two people. Me and Strash have to kind of and we did pretty well. I'll put the links to the Girl Underground videos if you are interested in watching them. They're pretty fun, and they're pretty bite-sized and short. So it's only a couple hours if that's your kind of deal. So definitely check it. But yeah, just an interesting thing, I think. Really fun, magical, but very real, very sad kid, but also a very fantastic kid. It definitely gets us all talking about our childhoods, and so we're all getting to know each other a lot better, which is cool. It's neat. If you want to play a game and get to know your friends, play a game about kids and see what happens, because you will undoubtedly end up talking about your childhoods. Really cool use of safety tools, and because I think you have to, once children are a part of the story, not even at the table, right? But just because it heightens things. Putting children into stories heightens things, and the other thing that heightens the metaphor and the vibe of a story is magic. And so Girl Underground is like a 1-2 punch. I think it's a beautiful game. Check it out. I'll have a link to it in the show notes under the playlist where you can watch us play it, if that's your thing. So check that out. And then I got to play with Michael and... hold on. I don't want to get any names wrong. I feel really... Michael and Nicholas and Slade. And we played Rebel Crown, which is kind of like Blades in the Dark meets Game of Thrones. Nicholas is playing the claimant, so he's playing Maddock the True, or Maddock the Younger, who is trying to get on the throne and his uncle has it, and I'm playing his chancellor. And so the cool thing about this game is we did not do well this game. We made poor decisions. Our characters made poor decisions, and I kind of liked it. I think it's going to make if you win all the time, is winning meaningful, right? And we didn't lose, right? Because you can, in Blades in the Dark and in Rebel Crown, you can just lose. You can just not get the diamond. Like, I've seen jobs go bad, and missions can go bad in Band of Blades, and jobs can go bad in Scum and Villainy. Like, in those types of games, things can go wrong, right? Just like a total party kill in D&D. And I don't think it's something to be feared. I think it makes the success sweeter. I like that we're not going to win all the time. I dig that. So the game didn't go well. Our characters almost all traumatized out. We were just all hot. I think all of us got a straight up trauma. And yeah, it was a mess. It was a real mess. I really liked it. It was really fun. It was fun to play through a character's frustration. I didn't find it frustrating, but my character definitely did. And that was neat. It was neat to get stymied. It was neat. This isn't easy. Claiming a throne is not simple. So super cool to see that play through. Good stuff. Michael had a masterful move where one of my rivals is teaching the young king some skills. He's teaching him how to be a good commander. And it was cool to see him just call my chancellorship into question and my judgment. Just really, really good stuff. So that was a lot of fun. A lot of fun. And yeah, it made me think about winning and losing in games. I remember I had a game, I think I had a total party kill happen. It might have been the first D&D 3.0 game I ever ran. A group of rabid dogs killed the players. And one of the players was like, I'm going to go home and tell my wife we won. He was kind of pissed. And I liked it. I was like, I think it's kind of cool. I think it's cool that you guys got shredded by a bunch of dogs because a werewolf was in town. I think that was the plot. I don't really remember. It was a long time ago. But good stuff. I think losses are fun. They make winning meaningful, to my eyes. You know, I'm not in this to feel like a hero all the time. I'm in this to experience something weird and new. And sometimes losing is weird and new. So, good stuff. It was a good weekend of gaming. And that went a little long, so I'm going to forego the Inspiration Goat this week and just get to the outro. Usually we do actual play, some kind of technique, and then we do Inspiration Goat, where I talk about a piece of media and how it informs my gaming. But I'm not going to do it...
No.
All right, Inspiration Goat. We'll talk real quickly about something. All right, I got it. This is a good piece of work. There's a lot to talk about with this, though, so I'm just gonna have to talk about one little piece of it. I mean, I could probably do a whole show just talking about this. So, Inspiration Goat is insisting that I talk about the series of graphic novels by Neil Gaiman called Sandman. And if you haven't read it, please do. They're really amazing. They're collected into graphic novels. Your public library will likely have them. You can read them out of order. And they're amazing. They're just absolutely dazzling. Really fun, cosmic, very often cosmic, but then very often personal horror and fantasy. And I'm very excited about it. I started talking about it with my wife today because there's going to be a Netflix TV show, and that comic has like just run a thread through our relationship, And so we're both very excited to see it get adapted. What do I want to talk? How does it relate to gaming? So there's so many things we could talk about with how that relates to gaming. If you want to talk, so I'm going to pick two things. There's a graphic novel called The World's End, and it's all a bunch of people in an inn, hiding from a storm, and they're just sitting around telling stories, right? And that's a beautiful setup, and it's a setup that has been used in lots of different stories. I'm thinking about what was it that Chaucer wrote? I mean, Chaucer's deal, it was very much that. It's a bunch of pilgrims sitting around telling stories. World's End, very much the same. And I have this vivid memory of going to a hotel with my dad when we were traveling, and the hotel didn't have televisions, and there was a fire pit, and we all sat around the fire pit and talked at night. And it was really cool to just sit around in a circle and talk to a bunch of strangers. So I'm throwing that out there. It's very much like the thing, I wrote a blog post about something like that called the Travel Altar or the Travel Shrine, which is a kind of D&D creation to get your players talking about their religion and give them a framework and a societal reason to do so. I'll put a link to that in the show notes. You can check that out. But the main thing I want to talk about with Sandman is the way it uses family. Sandman is a very big cosmic story, right? It's about a character who is the personification of dream. And that's very big. And his brothers and sisters are the personification of destiny and the personification of death and destruction and all kinds of stuff. So read it, check it out. But what I wanted to talk about is how family, or putting some kind of relationship framework on something, can make crazy fantasy stuff grippable, right? It can make it easier to understand and get a grip on. And it gives something for the fantasy stuff to stick to. Okay, so this came up actually in our Champions game with Jay and Clyde. We were talking about superhero groups. And so Brian Michael Bendis likes to do this thing with superhero groups where he kind of makes them like rock bands. And so very often reading one of his comics about superhero groups is very much like watching a really dramatic VH1 Where Are They Now, but with superpowers. And it's really fun if you read the Powers graphic novel. So Sandman does this with family, right? You've got these cosmic, wild personifications. And how do you get a grip on them? You make them family, right? We all know what family looks like. And, whether it's your found family or your blood family or your birth family or your whatever family, we know what that kind of bond is like. And so the Sandman, it helps us get a grip on something huge. And you can do that with a group. You can do that with the actual players. If they're not sure why are they all together, make them family. If you can also do that with deities, right? But you just have to mix it up a little bit with huge forces. Why is this cabal of wizards? Why are they all together? How did they get together? Oh, well, they're family. Cool. Suddenly I've got a grip on them. Suddenly I know that there might be fissures among them. There might be cracks that we can exploit. Fun stuff. So that's what I would like to take away from Sandman. Storytelling, people, strangers, sitting in an inn, telling each other stories. And the idea of using, structures that you're familiar with to make fantasy relationships pop. Give it something to grip to. That makes sense? Cool. If you've read Sandman, I'd love to know what you think of it. I'd love to know how it affected your gaming at all and how it inspired it. And if you've had family structures or some kind of structure, societal structure in your games. How did you use them? I'd love to hear from you. And I'll tell you more about how to do that in the outro. Here we go. Thank you so much for listening. I appreciate that. If you would like to support this show further, you can do it in a few ways. You can send me an email or an MP3 through the Anchor app, or you can email me through whatever email client you use, or you can tweet at me. My Twitter handle is Judd_of_Cryos, Kryos, and you can find that link in the show notes. And just let me know how the show moved you, or whatever, what's going on at your table. The other way you can support the show is buy my book, The Dictionary of Moo. There's also a link to that in the show notes. Click on it, see if it's your thing, and if so, check it out. Let me know what you think. And the other way you can support is by giving money to support. I use that money to support Patreons that I think are bolstering the community. And so that money goes to a good cause. It goes to lots of good causes and supports lots of amazing artists who are doing lots of cool things in gaming. So I appreciate it. And I hope you're doing well. Wash your hands for 20 seconds. If you're not sure what to do for those 20 seconds, picture the Inspiration Goat and talk to him about a movie. Inspiration Goat loves to talk. I don't know why I gendered the Inspiration Goat. I'm not sure the Inspiration Goat is a he. Talk to them. Sound good? All right. Be safe.